Hey everybody, you are tuning in to Canary Cry News Talk live stream. This is the pre-stream, so you're here a minute early. Congratulations. All right, we got a good show coming up for everybody today, but as usual, I want to remind everybody that the best way to catch the show live, if that's what you're into, is to follow us on multiple platforms. Of course, you can follow us on YouTube at the Face Like the Sun channel or Canary Cry Radio channel. I recommend subscribing to both. Also, twitch.tv/Canary Cry Radio. And you can also find us over on DLive. So just search for Canary Cry Radio there. And first comment of the day award goes to Skipper Kefilo over there on DLive. You win, DLive. Congratulations. All right, everybody, I'm looking through our list of articles here, and you're not going to want to miss it. Of course, it's still Vax Week over in the UK, so we got some news from there and around the world. So strap on in, get a snack, and let's get going.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is December 9th, 2020. This is episode 274. And today, McPFIZER WACCINE VENOM. And don't panic. I'm your best buddy, Basil.
And this is Gonz. Welcome to the podcast where we report the egregious while pointing to Jesus, where we will likely offend you because we can be facetious. Supplement your weekly news digestion with us so you can get a well-rounded, biblically grounded intake of world events. Welcome to the show.
Boom, chicka, what? Oh, well, here we are, Gonz. We're back for show number 2 of Vaccine Week over there in the UK. We've got a short note from one of our UK listeners coming up a little bit later. But if you're out there and you're from the UK, send us an email at canarycryradio@gmail.com. Let us know your experiences during Vax Week. But before we get into that, Gonz, I got to say, I'm having an interesting experience. I am wearing contact lenses inside of me VR
VR. Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, it actually helps a lot.
Good.
Of course, I do wear glasses. I can't wear them in this thing. But I noticed, even in the virtual world, when things get too far away, I can't see them, which is really weird. I don't know how that works. It doesn't seem like it should be that way. But I am now wearing contact lenses in the cyberverse, and it helps. It helps.
Yeah, it's really interesting how you can keep those googly eyes open the whole time. He never blinks, folks.
Never blink. That's
very dedicated.
I'm the watchiest watchman.
That's a good one. Yeah, we call ourselves watchmen. You're really keeping an eye.
You better be the watchiest.
The watchiest.
Also, I want to give an update to all our dear listeners who care so deeply about my physical health. Don't worry, I've started the workout regimen. It hurts, and I hurt all over. Taking my creatine and my protein, getting back in business, baby. I was really convicted about the impending martial law and robot apocalypse, and kind of seemed like a time of history where I'm gonna need to be able to at least run a little bit, maybe climb over some fences or crawl through a field or something. So I figured just for survival purposes, I better be able to at least be able to lift myself up off the ground without having every bone in my body crack and me make the noise.
Well,
So
that
I've done
noise, once you pass 30 years old, that noise doesn't go away. But
it kind of came out of nowhere. Yeah, once I turned 30, it was just that noise came out for no reason sometimes.
yeah, like getting out of bed in the morning. Although the amount of pain that you feel in your body, that is not indicated by the moan and groan.
Yeah.
Which is good. You're taking precautions. You're doing your preparation, your own type of preparation.
Yeah,
I have plans.
It's an oft overlooked aspect of prepping.
Yes,
Got to have your physical body ready.
I'm also considering my own form of prepping, and everyone's got to wear a mask anywhere you go in California. So I thought I would go ahead and order a Mandalorian mask helmet.
Ooh.
And just walk around with the helmet on.
Yeah.
And just to, and I want to get the little baby Yoda ears for my little baby boy. And then I can just really, make the whole thing happen. And the other thing would be really cool. And I'm trying to convince the wife, not really working so far, but I want to drive a DeLorean so I can be a man in a DeLorean as a Mandalorian.
The Mandalorian DeLorean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Are you getting a mask, a Mandalorian mask?
No,
or like
I want the full helmet. I want the helmet. A lot of them are like plastic, so it's kind of weak. But I'm looking for one that's like legit, Beskar. I need the real Beskar.
The real Beskar steel.
Yeah, kind of hard to come by. But anyway.
Sounds good.
This is where we get the comments. Where people always comment, blah, blah, blah at the beginning of the show.
That's the whole point.
I know. It's because we're trying to wait for everyone to jump in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Speaking of which, while we wait for the slackers, you got any election updates?
And so my question is very direct. Is voting by mail secure?
Just a brief one. I know Texas filed an official lawsuit to the SCOTUS, and a bunch of states jumped on board. I think. Okay, so to the Supreme Court of the U.S., the state of Texas versus Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Georgia, Michigan, and Wisconsin. And I think Louisiana, Arkansas, Alabama, Florida, Kentucky, Mississippi, South Carolina, and South Dakota are all jumping on board with Texas. So this is like a cage match of states.
What is this about now? What's this regarding?
The election fraud.
Yeah, but what is the lawsuit that they're lawsuiting? What's the claim?
Let's see.
That they don't like it?
No, there's some legit issues with
fraud stuff.
Yeah, fraud stuff and irregularities, and it goes through a lot of the stuff we've seen over the several few weeks here. But I don't know what's going to happen because I think what they're trying to do is throw out some of the mail-in ballots, but I'm not going to speak to it too much. I'm just reporting on what's being thrown out there and some progress being made.
The interesting thing is we are now, what is it? It's the 9th.
Yeah.
The 8th was supposedly, wasn't the 8th the day that the Electoral College was supposed to vote, or some safe harbor date?
Safe harbor date's today, and then the 14th is the voting day or something. So
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll see what happens, but it's coming up, and but it's one of those issues where it does seem like there's some traction going on with
something's happening
with the Republican side of things, but it's all political theater. It's to keep you all riled up.
Yeah. And what's not political theater, but is also supposed to get you all riled up?
Flippy.
Yeah.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
That'll become political soon enough, though.
It will. And this is even a little political.
It is.
So this is the Flippy update, folks. If this is your first time listening to the show, let me learn you something. Flippy is the colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. Wow. We used talking about we used talking about Flippy as a proxy conversation to quickly talk about how robotics and AI, just kind of tracking the progress of world domination. And today, this story is coming from pghcitypaper.com. So this is a local news outlet, I believe from Pennsylvania, I think.
Yep.
But the article is headlined, Pennsylvania legalizes autonomous delivery robots, classifies them as pedestrians. Dun, dun, dun. That's right, folks. Flippy is officially a pedestrian. I think this is the biggest leap toward personhood of robots, legal personhood for robots that we've seen in many years. I mean, we've been following the personhood of robots journey for quite a few years now. But as far as like a objective legal precedent, this is actually a pretty big deal. So the article reads, last month, Pennsylvania legalized autonomous delivery robots, which can weigh up to 550 pounds without cargo and typically roam sidewalks to delivery goods. There's a little typo, but typically roam sidewalk. This got me messed up here. Without cargo and typically roam sidewalks to deliver goods in urban and suburban environments. The law's passage went largely unnoticed. Coincidence? I don't think so. And it became law without Governor Tom Wolf's signature. It passed mainly along partisan lines, with Republicans supporting the law and Democrats opposing. Look at this. This is very interesting. Very seldom does Flippy updates or the robot takeover fall along party lines of any kind. But here, it passed mainly along partisan lines, with Republicans supporting the law and Democrats opposing, calling it a job killer. Of course. Bills regulating autonomous delivery robots have largely been pushed by delivery companies like Amazon and FedEx, according to Wired magazine. Opposition has largely come from pedestrian and accessibility advocates, as well as labor unions like the Teamsters. Pennsylvania joins several other states in regulating autonomous delivery robots, aka personal delivery devices. That's the first time I've ever heard that. They kind of consolidate it down to PDD, personal delivery devices. Most laws, including Pennsylvania's, now legally classify them as pedestrians, as long as PDDs yield the right of way to actual human pedestrians and cyclists. Oh, second-class pedestrians.
Yeah.
But Pennsylvania's new law is arguably one of the least restrictive of any state outside of Florida, which is one of the least pedestrian-friendly states in America. Pennsylvania Senate Bill 1199 allows PDD to weigh up to 550 pounds. Washington State has a weight limit of 120 pounds. Wow. SB 1199 speed limit on the sidewalk is 12 miles per hour. So that's like a hefty jog. I think
that's pretty fast, actually.
It's not slow.
Oh.
Only Florida's speed limit is faster, where municipalities can only institute a 15 miles per hour speed limit. Eric Borer of the bike pedestrian advocacy group Bike Pittsburgh says 12 miles an hour is fast for traveling on the sidewalk, considering the average walking speed for pedestrians about 3 or 4 miles per hour. Quote, they're going to be on sidewalks with 12 miles per hour. That is extremely fast, says Borer.
It's not extremely fast.
Extremely fast.
It's fast.
A little hyperbole there, Bearer. Quote, and in a city like Pittsburgh, we have narrow sidewalks. Some of these things can be the size of a refrigerator. How are we going to get around that? When they aren't on sidewalks or pedestrian areas, PDDs can travel on roadways or shoulders at 25 miles per hour. Bearer is concerned that these autonomous delivery robots will be traveling at these speeds in bike lanes, as 25 miles per hour is faster than speeds typically traveled by cyclists. Okay. Bear adds that SB 1199 lacks a mechanism to allow local municipalities to write local regulations around PDDs. He says that can add a whole other host of problems. Quote, it's such a shame there is no local municipal input, he says. Let's see. I'm going to go all the way through. We're almost there. In response to the issue, Pittsburgh Department of Mobility Director Karina Ricks says, quote, in light of the general local preemption of the act, we are working to assert some level of local control nonetheless. Pittsburgh first got a taste of PDDs when a pilot program out of the University of Pittsburgh had Starship autonomous robots delivering meals to people on campus. The Starship pilot had several hiccups, et cetera, et cetera. Who cares about Starship robots? But there you go, Guns. Legal, one of the first official legal personhood issues being put on the books for delivery robots.
Called it.
That's right.
We called it.
We called it. I don't know what year, but it was pretty early on.
Yeah.
That was one of our, it was definitely at least in the first, I don't know, 20 episodes, I think, of Canary Cry Radio.
Yeah.
But it's pretty funny how the biggest enemy of these robots that they could find are Democrat bike riders.
Yeah. Pedestrians. I like that.
Not even pedestrians.
Well,
it
talks about I know, but I there was a mention of pedestrians. I thought it was interesting that there's even like a pedestrian group, you know? We defend all pedestrians. I guess that's whatever.
Well, I think the group was Bike Pittsburgh, so it's the cyclists that are fighting back.
Sure. Although I think it did mention the pedestrian advocacy group or something too.
Well, it's Eric Bearer of Bike Pedestrian Advocacy Group, Bike Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought there was another pedestrian group in there.
Why are you defending pedestrians so much?
Because I am a pedestrian when I walk on the street, and I am not Usain Bolt, so I can't run 28 miles per hour for a 100-meter dash. You
just got to get good at hiding from these robots. This is a good game. If you live in Pittsburgh and you see these little robots rolling around, you should get good at spotting them quickly and hiding from their sensors. Either that, or there's going to be some pretty serious vandalism of these things. You know, bike people, cyclists, they can get pretty punk rock. These little delivery robots are. There's going to be some violence against robots, which will lead to some more laws on the books.
Well, part of the problem too is that these robots all have cameras all over them. You know, so it's going to be hard to get away with it. But eventually, we will have a robot Rosa Parks moment. Where, you know...
Whoa, good call, actually.
Yeah, it's coming. Some kind of legislative or legal robots take a stand, standing in front of a tank or something like in China. I don't know. Some kind of moment where people will sympathize with robots and say, oh, they should have more rights. My machine, my choice.
Well, either the people will stand up for the robots or the robots will stand up for themselves. I don't know which one's worse.
I don't know which one. That's a tough one. It's bad either way. But anyway, yep. Good to know that we were all over this idea of robots, autonomous robots, gaining personhood. And here we are, legal protection as pedestrians.
Yeah, it's pedestrian protections.
Yeah, there you go. All right, let's get through a handful of updates, and then we got our Vax Week report.
We interrupt this broadcast to give you a brief update. By the end of this timely interruption, you will be thoroughly updated.
We're skipping the 33 reports today. We're going straight to the 666.
Oh, my God.
First up, this is 411mania.com. Beastia666 says his parents have been hospitalized due to COVID-19.
Oh.
Rough.
Yeah.
For this luchador. So there's one.
He's a luchador?
That's what it says.
Wow.
Yeah, but the best part here, Beastia666 has revealed that his parents, Damien666 and Lupita Lizarraga, have been hospitalized due to COVID-19. The luchador posted on Instagram to announce that both of his parents have tested positive for the virus and are currently in the hospital. I like how both the two generational 666
it's
moniker
like a legal last name.
Yeah. Yeah, Dad 666 and Boy 666. So there's one. We got another one here. This one's a little bit more subtle. This is lmfm.ie. Coronavirus update. Healthcare workers and students among those most affected by COVID-19. And yeah, where's the 666 in the headline? Oh, it's down here. Teachers counted for 666 confirmed cases.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so there you go. A couple 666 updates for you. And let's see. We also have a monolith update that we skipped in the last episode, but here we got it here.
Aliens.
Actually, I was looking for the Elon one where Elon says, "Where are the aliens?" I thought it was more applicable, but this is Isle White County Press. Photographer snaps monolith on Compton Beach. And, of course, when I first heard Compton, I was like, Compton Beach? Compton has a beach?
Yeah, I
In Long
didn't know
Beach?
Compton was by the beach.
No. See, this is not Compton in L.A. County.
Oh,
This is Compton
no.
in England. Compton
Oh.
Beach. But this monolith...
The OG Compton.
The OG Compton. But this monolith is like... It's like a mirror. It's all shiny.
Yeah, this one's much shinier. It looks more well crafted. It's got a little pyramid on the top type of illusion there. This doesn't seem like the same craftsmanship of some of the other monoliths.
Yeah, it's going to get better and better as they reveal themselves.
Looks
the Galactic
looks
Federation.
a little bit more like an obelisk than
It
the
does.
other ones.
Yeah, it's got an obelisk look from the front, but then actually all of them kind of had that. It's not an exact block thing like in Space Odyssey 2001. But I consequently looked up the book Scientific Dictatorship by the who are the brothers there? Blanking on the name of the brothers that wrote the book in like 2006 or something like that. But at the very beginning of the book, it talks about, you know what? I brought the wrong quote up. Shoot, I messed that up. Yeah, I messed it up. Basically, they talk about the monolith in Space Odyssey 2001 as being this evolutionary signal. Because the idea here is that, if you watch the movie, it's a Stanley Kubrick film. At the beginning, you got the apes running around, and they are given knowledge with these monoliths. And it's kind of like a signal that they're about to evolve, right? And so when you see the monolith throughout the film, it's kind of like a signal from the gods or whoever that they're about to evolve. The next stage of evolution is here. And so... it's just an interesting pattern that right when vaccines become widespread, or at least this new mRNA vaccine for the COVID virus, as it becomes popularly distributed, if you will.
And we're coming up on December 21st, the real Quetzalcoatl return.
Sure, yeah. And that's it's also, there's a lot of convergence there happening. Because
the Bethlehem Star?
Bethlehem Star, yeah, that's the other thing. Let me get the quote real quick because I found it while I was talking. Double task, folks. In the film, the evolution of these hominids is raised to the next rung on the evolutionary ladder by the sudden appearance of a mysterious monolith. Commensurate with the new presence of this enigmatic sentinel, our alleged simian progenitors learn to acquire a primitive form of technology. For the first time, they use a bone as a weapon, blah, blah, blah. So you get the idea. The notion being that that it's a signal that humans are about to go through an evolutionary process, the next stage of evolution, which is very much transhuman. And that brings me to... Yes?
Oh, I was just going to say, what an age of deceit we're living in.
Oh, absolutely. It brings me to ladbible.com. Trans species man has 2 fins implanted in his head.
Oh, it's been a while since we've seen one of these guys.
Yeah, a man who claims to identify as trans species has had 2 fins implanted into his skull.
Oh my God.
Manel Munoz from Catalonia, Spain, known artistically as Manel de Aguas, says he doesn't feel as though he's completely human. And the 24-year-old has now had 2 500-gram silicone fins which he designed himself, surgically attached to either side of his head.
Oh my gosh.
There's a photo of him for those of you watching online or live anyway
That's
on the video.
them. They're just
it's
they don't blend or anything. They're just white little fins.
yeah. He
They're
could
pretty
have done
big
better.
too. That looks uncomfortable.
Are those ropes hanging from them too, like for his
I was
glasses?
trying to figure out. I think maybe he's trying to give like a headphone vibe.
Sure. I mean, it would be nice if they actually did work his headphones or, increase his hearing or something. This seems more of like an aesthetic type of deal, but there's a picture of him, what appears to be some wires attached to him to some
some solar panels.
Yeah, some solar panels or whatever. But I don't know if they actually do anything, but are you ready to become a cyborg, Basil? Because this guy is.
This is so weird. This is like the least sort of interesting looking, invasive surgery to add some. People have been putting horns on and little bumps and stuff under their skin for a while. This is no attempt to put it under the skin. Nope. Nothing. It's just two pieces of plastic hanging off his head.
Yeah. This guy, it's guys like this that are going to be, front of the line of getting the neural link. It's like, oh, you can improve. I could get my ears on my head will now be connected to my brain. And so there you go. Quick update there on a transhuman front. And also science fiction was a documentary.
CRISPR. Cas9.
Cause I'm DNA.
This is geneticliteracyproject.org. They had a headline, De-extinction, why CRISPR gene editing might be the most revolutionary development in science ever. Ever.
Wow.
And it says here, I'm just going to read one sentence. Called de-extinction, the resurrection of lost species is one of the many applications to be revolutionized by the new gene editing technology CRISPR-Cas9. So, you talk about, this has been part of the discussion with CRISPR is that, hey, we can have like a Jurassic Park moment. But I really think this is, it's all sort of a psyop setup for bringing back the days of Noah in a literal sense as an excuse. If you're going to bring back the woolly mammoth and all these other extinct species, why not bring back Osiris and Gilgamesh and, all these dead gods or semi-gods?
Why not? You can make your own Jurassic Park of ancient god men.
Yeah, it's all
nothing. What could possibly go wrong? Spare no expense.
Yeah. What can possibly go wrong? Is there there's no prophetic book from thousands of years ago that describes something like that, is there?
It's gotta be biblical.
Life finds a way. Just to interject for a second, did you see the articles popping up everywhere about a little bird that was thought to have gone extinct about 100 years ago, just like suddenly popped up again? It de-extincted itself.
Oh, really? How did it do that?
I have no idea. It's a pretty smart bird.
Figured it out?
Yeah, I guess it was like officially proclaimed extinct quite a while ago, and then one just kind of popped up. Somebody saw it, so there you go.
Nice.
Maybe it's It's Osiris bird.
It's the resurrection of the Osiris bird in the bird world. They're all panicking. They're all.
It's the Antichrist bird.
One last quick update here, and this one is pretty concerning when it comes to the cyber winter and the cyberdemic that we've been touching on recently. BBC.com, U.S. cybersecurity firm FireEye, their logo is literally an eye that's on fire, hit by state-sponsored attack. And this is really not a good thing. U.S. cybersecurity firm FireEye says it has recently been attacked by a highly sophisticated threat actor, believing the hacking was state-sponsored. In a blog, FireEye CEO Kevin Mandia said company tools used for testing customers' security has been stolen. The attacker primarily sought information related to certain government customers, he wrote. The blog did not say whether or did not say who might have carried out the attack. The firm and FBI are investigating the hack, but yeah, it's a bad sign when the CEO is like, yeah, all the tools we use for customer security, it's stolen. It's like, good.
It's interesting you bring up this story today. I had not heard about this, but I spent a big portion of my day yesterday brushing up on Stuxnet.
Oh.
Did you spend a lot of time on Stuxnet?
No. I spent my time putting together this vaccine week thing and going down rabbit trails that no man should ever have to go down.
I might as well bring it to the show since I spent so much time on it. For those who need a little refresher, Stuxnet was a strange piece of, it was a virus or a worm or something that spread all around the world. And then it was these two guys who ran a cybersecurity firm just by chance found it and went on this long process of tracking it down. And it was very interesting. Some of the weird little parts about Stuxnet, and they named it Stuxnet based on some stuff they found in the code. There was a couple weird things. One of it was obviously whoever had created the virus had legal oversight in some way. This was a strange thing because it had an expiration date on the virus. And have you heard about this? You know when the expiration date was?
No, 2020.
The expiration date on this virus was the day before Obama took office.
Oh.
So, yes. So Stuxnet, in the end, they figured out that it was a virus spread by the United States government, and it was specifically designed to get into Iranian nuclear facilities and make them go haywire. And so Bush, before Obama, put together this, there's this cyber warfare, like really extreme cyber warfare that was glitching out and destroying all these Iranian nuclear facilities. And it just happened to get out into the public. They didn't mean for it to get out. They made a little error. And then like everybody's computer on Earth had this virus on it that was supposed to take out nuclear facilities. And only now has there been like a bunch of declassification and whistleblowers and stuff talking about it. And I guess they took out like over 1,000 nuclear centrifuges in Iran all the way up until the day Obama took office, and they had to it needed to expire before Obama took office because they legally they needed Obama to reapprove it. You can't have a cyber war going through a past from a past president not approved by the new president. So pretty fascinating. There's a lot more details, but it started with like this story, just a private contract, not even a contractor of the U.S. government, just a private security company found it and blew the lid off this whole thing.
Yeah, it says here that it's understood now that the cyber weapon was jointly built by the U.S. and Israel. So,
yep,
there you go. Israel always got their fingers all over stuff with the U.S.
Yeah, there are little proxy government over there.
Yeah, I'm just picturing Bush Jr. trying to lead like some kind of internal memo conference or a little meeting conference call on that, we can't get this worm. And weapons of mass destruction.
Start a bunch of fires in their nuclear facilities.
That's interesting too, because there was a lot of rumors in the New Age world in like the late 2000s, early 2010s about how UFOs disengaged nuclear facilities. Do you remember that? They would come in. They would come in and like it just knock out nuclear sites on in the Middle East and stuff. I wonder if that was like a psyop, to try to get propaganda to or just some kind of sense, or see how much propaganda would work with that kind of stuff.
Well, the New Age, they love grabbing stuff that other people think of and just kind of twisting it just a little bit.
Just add aliens.
To fit into their zone.
Just add the aliens to it. It's like Tsoukalos logic, Oh,
Yeah.
what was it? Was it a cyber?
It was aliens.
It was a cyber war software created, but no, it was aliens. Okay.
All right.
So
should we get into Vax Week?
To Vax Week.
WACCINE. WACCINE.
Okay,
right.
Gantz. I think I would actually like to start with reading this little note from one of our UK listeners.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do
Okay.
that first.
So this is from producer Julie. Thank you very much for sending us this email. And she sent this, let's see, yesterday. So it's just right at the beginning of Vax Week, but gave a little intro. Says, today began UK jabs. People will be vaccinated. Oldest, care homes, vulnerable first, then going down age groups. First wave will be through main hospitals in each of the regions in the UK, then through GP surgeries and designated hubs. Don't know what GP surgeries are, but once given jab, you will get a card to say you have the jab. Then you go back a second time in the designated time frame for repeat, about 3 weeks. Everywhere pushing positive of jabs, not the negative on TV or media. The first people today given vaccinations were filmed. An old lady of 90, Margaret Keenan, in hospital as a patient already in Coventry, and a man called William Shakespeare, age 81. So William Shakespeare has been vaccinated.
Yeah.
Apparently, after you get vaccinated, you'll have to stay for a designated time to be monitored. So they don't just let you out into the wilderness, but they say to make sure you're okay, and you'll be given a cup of tea and possibly a biscuit. And thankfully, our UK listener knows to put in parentheticals, cookie, because that's what they call cookies over there, biscuits. Yeah. That's it so far, they say. Best wishes to you and your families. So thank you very much, Julie, for that. And we look forward to more boots on the ground updates from our UK listeners. Since she mentioned biscuit, I've been looking for a reason to mention on the show that I've been watching Great British Bake Off.
I've watched some of it too.
Have you?
The wife really loves that show.
I'm enjoying watching Great British Bake Off because it's pretty much the only show I can watch that isn't entirely constructed around occult symbolism. There's not no occult symbolism in Great British Bake Off, but there's not as much occult symbolism. Fairly wholesome.
Have you seen Shrek?
Which one?
The CGI one, like the original.
There's like 6 Shrek movies.
Is there?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let me rephrase. Do you know who Lord Farquaad is?
Yeah, Farquaad.
Yeah.
I had a Lord Farquaad haircut for a while, and everybody loved telling me that I looked like Lord Farquaad.
The guy, the old guy the guy that looks like he's a retired rock star on the British Bake Off.
Yes. Yeah.
Lord Farquaad.
Yeah, I get it.
You will not be able to unsee it once you see it.
I will say this, and there's a very small minority of our listeners that are so excited that we're talking about Great British Bake Off. I just got to say, I'm just putting it out there, and we're going to move on. I liked his haircut in the most recent seasons, and you go back, you watch past seasons where he has short hair, really trippy. I don't recommend it.
Okay.
Also, I miss the bald guy.
All right. Well,
moving
back to Vax Week.
Okay, back to Vax Week. If I can get control of my thing here, let's jump in. Quick thing from Canada here.
Yes. So this is globalnews.ca, and I wanted to do a couple setups to the main, or a couple main stories about who's gotten the jab. But this one is titled "Neo-Nazis, Extremists Capitalizing on COVID-19 Declassified CSIS Document Says."
Wow.
Yeah. So,
oh my gosh.
This is the Canadian folk up there. Extremist groups have been promoting disinformation about COVID-19 in an attempt to capitalize on the pandemic, according to declassified Canadian intelligence files obtained by Global News. Neo-Nazis, white supremacists, and anti-government extremists in particular have been using COVID-19 conspiracy theories to attract followers, raise money and encourage violence, the document says.
Oh, my gosh.
The secret national security brief prepared for senior Canadian officials and shared with foreign governments links disinformation about the virus to what it calls ideology-motivated violent extremists, IMV. So yeah, we're going to be, they're just coming up with terminology now. IMV.
They have their own acronym.
IMV extremists, like I am vendetta. But so there you go. I mean, it's just whatever. Like these people come up with they always blame the same neo-Nazis, white supremacists, and anti-government extremists.
Well, this is some nice programming to say if you question the main narrative and if you point out flaws in the main narrative, then you're an ideologically motivated violent extremist because only horrible people question the media.
It doesn't make any sense. And one more quick setup before the UK stuff. This is from kfgo.com. And the headline is, as UK prepares to roll out COVID-19 vaccines, skepticism remains. And you know it's a UK article because they spelled skepticism with a C, SCEPTICISM. And it says here that a sizable minority of people believe conspiracy theories about the coronavirus and COVID-19 vaccines. Some experts have warned, just as countries prepare to launch mass inoculations to get the pandemic under control. The quotes here are, I just have it highlighted. Quote, what we're finding is, in the wake of the pandemic, that conspiracy beliefs may have gone mainstream, that they're no longer confined to the fringes. Daniel Freeman, professor of clinical psychology at Oxford University, told Reuters. I delight in this idea that these, hoity-toity professors are like, oh, these fringe ideas have gone mainstream. It's out of control. Mm-hmm. He also says around a quarter of Britain's population are entertaining such thoughts. Another quarter are consistently thinking in terms of conspiracy beliefs. And around 1 in 10 people seem to have a very high rate of endorsement of conspiracy beliefs. So
now, see, that's the crazy thing. So again, this is getting back to rhetoric. Mm-hmm. Conspiracy beliefs, what the reaction to that is, oh, crazy beliefs. But, just the words conspiracy beliefs just means, yeah, somebody has planned something and it is done. There's a conspiracy. And I think it's strange. They're saying, they're almost talking as if a majority of people have conspiracy beliefs. Or it doesn't even have to be a majority, but when a large enough section of the population is going against mainstream authority. Narrative. Yeah. I don't think that technically counts as, fringy beliefs anymore.
Yeah. It's very interesting how the premise or the presupposition of so many of these mainstream outlets is there's no conspiracy whatsoever, ever. And if you really think about it, the official narrative, in some sense, can be a conspiracy if you want to, peg China and what they did or didn't do to contain it early on. So, whatever. But that's sort of the sentiment that's out there to combat this whole thing. And just as the email said,
it's time.
It has happened, Basil. You want to take this? We don't have to read the whole thing because it's really not that interesting.
Which one?
This is BBC.com. COVID-19 vaccine first person receives Pfizer jab in UK.
Yeah. A couple of these are just not that interesting, but it was just reiterating Margaret Keenan, who turns 91 next week, said the injection she received was the best early birthday present, she said. It was the first of 800,000 doses of Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine that will be dispensed in coming weeks. Up to 4 million more are expected by the end of the month. Hubs in the UK are starting to roll out by vaccinating the over 80s and some health and care staff. So there you go. There's that Margaret Keenan woman again. And then, of course...
Well, before we do that, have you heard some of the conspiracies surrounding this lady?
Well, there's that picture of her making a Masonic hand signal.
Which, yeah, see, I saw that. She's holding like a bottle or something, right?
Is she? I
Yeah.
couldn't really
So it's
get
kind of like
close enough to see.
it's kind of like, okay, maybe, but I wouldn't bank any kind of reality on that. There was that other thing going around that this lady is like an actress or a crisis actress. And they had
one
a
of
picture.
those.
Yeah, they had like a picture of one of these crisis actors side by side view. Very hard to tell when they have a
You're
mask
talking about
on.
the nurse.
No, I'm talking about the actual lady who got the jab.
Oh, interesting. I didn't see that about her, although that would make total sense. There was also, I'm not sure if you have it in here. You have the thing about the New Zealand president or prime minister or whatever they have over there.
No.
There was video of her getting the jab. I believe it was her, and it was just obviously the cap was still on the syringe. You know, the person giving it. Yeah, the person giving it to her, you know, was hiding it with her hand, but you could see it for a second. And then I believe there was, oh man, I just kind of skimmed by it, so I didn't save it. But the nurse who gave the vaccine both to Margaret Keenan and William Shakespeare was the same nurse, and they were in totally different areas of the country. They're far away from each other.
Yeah, I didn't catch
this
that
nurse
one.
just happened to be able to teleport to both sections.
The Galactic Federation of Light are here, and they can do things like that.
Yeah, that's true. Although they do have the video of William Shakespeare getting his vaccine. That is definitely a real needle, and it definitely goes in.
It definitely goes in.
So he got the real one.
Well, I mean, they can easily find a heroin addict on the streets of UK there.
Yeah.
And they can, especially one that thinks that they...
place is crawling with them.
Yeah. Especially one that thinks that they're William Shakespeare, which is Reuters.com. In England, William Shakespeare receives COVID-19 vaccine. Here's the video here. For those of you watching, he's sitting there and looking real. Man, that needle is, ooh.
And of course, the jokes floating around Twitter were the taming of the flu and the two gentlemen of Corona. Some good patient to be or not to be. Some good Shakespeare jokes there. Okay, let me get into something else here. This one is actually of concern. So let's get into the real stuff. This is going to come from CNN.com. And if you're new to the show, we like to take stories from mainstream outlets because it's more fun to pick out the programming and the rhetorical trickery and the fun stuff like that. We're not here to just read what.
Well, you skipped the whole thing, though.
Where?
It will kill.
Well,
which is the same story, I guess. But
yeah, we'll do that one too. Okay. Let me jump into this one.
All right.
So this headline for the CNN article is allergy warning for Pfizer BioNTech vaccine after UK health workers with allergy history suffer reaction. Now, I think we're going to talk about the rhetoric and the communication and the programming around the Pfizer testing, the Pfizer BioNTech testing, and the phases that they went through. And of course, they reported all sorts of side effects and a couple of pretty serious reactions that people had. Now, of course, now they're coming out and giving the vaccine, they are changing their story a little bit that nobody has ever been hurt by this vaccine and it's totally safe. But we'll get into that a little bit more. But it took one day. Yeah, one day of the vaccine being given out to find some bigger problems. Here's the article. People with a, quote, significant history of allergic reactions should not be given the Pfizer BioNTech coronavirus vaccine. UK health authorities said Wednesday after two healthcare workers experienced symptoms after receiving a shot the day before. like experienced symptoms. The precautionary advice was given after the pair, quote, responded adversely following their shots on the first day of the mass vaccination rollout in the UK. National Health Service England said Wednesday. The two staff members, who both carried an adrenaline auto-injector and had a history of allergic reactions, developed symptoms of anaphylactoid reaction after receiving the vaccine on Tuesday. Thousands overall were vaccinated in the UK on Tuesday. NHS England told CNN on Wednesday. So, yeah, for those who don't know, anaphylactoid, or an anaphylactic shock, as people refer to it more commonly, is a pretty serious reaction. I mean, it's a potentially fatal reaction that if you don't have your little EpiPen or adrenaline auto-injector, you very, very easily could die. The article continues, quote, as is common with new vaccines, the MHRA, Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency, have advised on a precautionary basis that people with significant history of allergic reactions do not receive this vaccination after two people with a history of significant allergic reactions responded adversely yesterday, said Stephen Powles, the National Medical Director for NHS England, in a statement. Both are recovering well. The MHRA issued new advice to healthcare professionals stating that any person with a significant allergic reaction to a vaccine, medicine, or food. That's a pretty broad selection.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, that's a lot of people, such as previous history of anaphylactoid reaction or those who have been advised to carry an adrenaline auto-injector. Notice how they aren't saying EpiPen. It is a brand name object, but there is a lot of well, A, conspiracy theories, but B, what's the word I'm looking for? A lot of hubbub recently, specifically around EpiPen, when that one like 30-year-old pharma dude bought the what was it? Not the patent. He bought the patent on the EpiPen and raised it like 700% or something, the price of it.
Right.
So, of course, we got to call it an adrenaline auto-injector. Should not receive the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine. The advice also states that vaccines, quote, should only be carried out in facilities where resuscitation measures are available. This is
pretty
sketchy.
intense. Yeah, sketchy, to say the least.
I mean, you talk about the flu vaccine. You just walk into CVS or any old pharmacy.
Yeah, they're like, free vaccines on the side of the street there, the corner.
Yeah.
Just giving out jabs all over.
No. We need EpiPens. We need defibrillators. This is a life-threatening event.
ICU beds are being overflowed by people getting vaccines.
The article continues, quote, we are fully investigating the two reports that have been reported to us as a matter of priority, and MHRA spokesperson said. That acronym does not flow off the tongue. Quote, once all the information has been reviewed, we'll communicate updated advice, the spokesperson added. They advised anyone with a history of significant allergic reaction due to receive the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine to speak to the healthcare professional administering the vaccine. So notice how in the course of one article, they went from don't get it. It's very dangerous. You very well could die. If you have any allergic reactions, don't get it. And then they made a little switch like, oh, just speak to the healthcare professional when you're there. Just let them know. Pfizer said in a statement that it had been advised by the UK regulator of two yellow card reports that may be associated with allergic reaction due to administration of the vaccine.
Is that like soccer?
Get a yellow card. Yeah, you get some time out. Anyways, they kind of just repeat themselves about 40 more times in this article.
Sure.
So
yeah, you got to get the SEO. You know, one of the things that's interesting to me is that a lot of the allergic reaction to things, a lot of those problems come from poor health in general, like generation. Not just talking about like right now, but GMO foods and stuff like that. I'm sure have contributed to.
Sure.
A less healthy population in general.
Well, that's the theory surrounding peanut allergies.
Yeah.
It's like, that never used to be a thing. And then suddenly, I think it was like the 70s or 80s, It's when everybody started being allergic to peanuts.
Yeah. So similar in nature to that, they're probably like, hey, this is where all the killing can begin, right?
Yeah. Oh man, I wonder. Yeah, what new allergies will this? Will this? What's really interesting regarding, and we'll be talking about the studies in a little bit here. What's really interesting is, they allegedly tested this vaccine on almost 80,000 people before releasing it into the wild, and 80,000 people, that's a pretty decent amount of people. You really didn't have anybody have an allergic reaction in 80,000 people when just a few thousand people in the UK got the vaccine in one day and 2 people almost died from it. It's kind of an issue with these testing things is, you fill out your medical questionnaire and it'll, of course, ask about allergies. And I wonder if they just didn't let anybody who had allergies go to, be in the test phases, because that would that would give bad PR.
Yeah. Well, I thought the timing of this information that we're about to cover, I'm sure many of you guys saw it out there, the timing was egregious, and this is part of the whole narrative here.
It will kill.
And this is not the right one. Here we go. Jerusalem Post. And the headline was changed. It is now first Pfizer coronavirus vaccine expected to land on Wednesday. And this is concerning Israel. The headline used to read, Pfizer announces death of 2 trial participants.
Mm-hmm.
Because the sub headline here says FDA announces death of 2 Pfizer vaccine trial participants. Vaccine expected to arrive in Israel Wednesday. I don't know how that builds confidence for the population of Israel. But this article states the public is likely to begin vaccinating in less than 2 weeks as vaccines arrive in the country and health funds and hospitals prepare to administer them. Health Ministry Director General Chezi Levi informed the country's health funds on Tuesday that they should prepare for the vaccinations to begin on December 20th. Oh, that's an interesting date there.
Day before the end of the world.
A senior health fund official said that the hospitals and the funds will start vaccinating in small numbers at first, but are expected to begin larger-scale community vaccinations right after Christmas when a large shipment of Pfizer vaccines is supposed to arrive in Israel. At least 110,000 doses of the Pfizer coronavirus vaccine are expected to arrive today, and medical staff at Tel Aviv Sourasky Medical Center have signed up to be the first to be inoculated. And it goes on here and talks about, let me try to get to that part where it talks about the deaths here. It's safe and yes and that. And did they change the article? They might have changed some stuff to...
Well, they did. They changed the headline.
Oh, I know they changed the headline, but...
Yeah, so of course there's going to be some updates there.
Let me try to find... Okay. The association noted that in large trials of tens of thousands of people, death can occur without any connection to the trial, but that companies such as Pfizer are required to report those deaths. Quote, according to the published data, 6 of the participants in the experiment died, 2 of whom received the vaccine and 4 of the control group, said Dr. Yuri Lerner, the scientific director for Mida'at. Quote, after an in-depth examination, no connection was found between the experiment and the cause of death. Mm-hmm. So that's their claim, okay? The claim, according to this doctor, is that there's no connection.
Right.
And if you go into the literature, the actual paper, which is a briefing I think it was a briefing, I have the link here, for the FDA. This is Vaccines and Related Biological Products Advisory Committee meeting December 10th, 2020, so tomorrow as of this recording. And it mentions the part there where people died. Serious adverse events is what it's titled. Deaths, a total of 6, 2 vaccine, 4 placebo, of 43,448 enrolled participants, which is a 0.01%, died during the reporting period from April 29th to November 14th. Both vaccine recipients were over 55 years of age. One experienced a cardiac arrest 62 days after vaccination, which is okay. Maybe the vaccine had nothing to do with that one,
or maybe it did. Who knows?
Maybe it did.
I mean,
62 days is hard to really nail down.
Well, there's no reason to say that it wouldn't take 62 days
or
for this
contribute
thing
to the decline of health of this individual.
Sure, right. Well,
number two, and died 3 days later. Hold on, 62 days after vaccination. Number two, this is just worded weird. Number two died 3 days later in the okay, yeah. All right, wait, hold on. I want to.
You got this, buddy.
Okay, I got it. Okay, never mind. It's not the 62 days. Okay, one of the participants had cardiac arrest, and then 62 days later had vaccination number 2. So there's like 2 vaccines, right? There's 2 jabs. And after that second one, he died 3 days later.
Yeah. Okay. See?
The other.
He had a heart attack after the first shot and died after the second shot. Nothing to see here, folks.
And the other died from arteriosclerosis 3 days after vaccination number 1. So the other guy died 3 days after from arteriosclerosis. I don't know what it is either. You want to look it up real quick?
I won't. Yeah.
Oh, no. let me do it because you don't have fingers to type.
That's a long word. It'll take me a half hour to type into my weird little pokey keyboard here.
Okay. Arteriosclerosis occurs when the blood vessels that carry oxygen and nutrients from your heart to the rest of your body, the arteries, became thick and stiff, sometimes restricting blood flow to your organs and tissues.
Oh, yeah.
So, but okay, wait. Did they have this before, or like, there's no information that would suggest?
Yeah, well, they don't want to give you too much information, Guns, because then you'll start thinking for yourself.
Well, that's part of the issue here is that with the information they give in the report, you can't come to any hard conclusions. But this doctor guy, I know, but this doctor guy is like, there's no connection between the experiments and the cause of death.
Yeah. Well, and, maybe, who knows? Maybe it's true, maybe it's not, but he does have a financial incentive to say that.
Yeah, that definitely. So, yeah, I guess 2 dead from the vaccine isn't that bad. But again, people still died. And I thought, my thing is they should have made this public before they started distributing the vaccine.
Well, and that's the shady part about it is, I guess, I don't really know. I'm not a medical professional, but that's the whole thing. That's why you test things. That's why you have multiple phases, etc. And yeah, probably something's going to happen to somebody. But, from last episode and the episode before, the mainstream narrative is that there were no adverse effects in the whole trial, not a single one. So take the vaccine is totally fine. And a day in, people are almost dying from anaphylactic shock. Turns out there were deaths in the trials that, it's the lying that's the sketchy part.
Yeah.
Of course, hey, bad stuff happens when you test weird, never before used vaccine technology or any sort of medical technology. Not to excuse those things, but the most sinister part is lying about it to make sure that people, don't ask questions when they go in to get their jab.
Yeah. It says here that the allergic reactions were noticed in the trials. So, yeah, they knew about it, but like you said, the nefarious part is not reporting it. And I think there were doctors. I think there was one German doctor that came out and said, like, hey, I asked for the evidence and they wouldn't give it up. So he was very upset. It was like the whole thing was in German, but somebody had a conference call and whatever. So, and I think we reported on a story last episode where they were basically saying that there's no information available about it yet, but don't worry, take the jab.
Yeah.
So,
all right, let's keep going.
Okay, so now that some people are getting the jab, are people allowed to not wear masks anymore?
If you're working alone, wear a mask. The mask's not for you.
No, they're unrelated.
You care about.
Unrelated. CBSNews.com. Will I have to wear a mask once I get the COVID-19 vaccine? Answer, quote, eventually I think we won't, but I think until we know that this vaccine is working, we are going to have to wear a mask. Pediatrician Dr. Dion has said on CBSN Tuesday. Wait a minute, I thought it does work.
No. It works. It works. Don't ask questions. But until we know, you got to keep wearing the mask.
Oh my gosh. This is clown world that we're living in.
It really
here.
is clown world.
So we didn't want to read a whole bunch of these. I had so many articles. We actually had to trim down some of the stuff.
Well, there's a lot happening.
There's so much happening. But I did want to include some headlines, and we can read some of it if you'd like, Basil. But there were a couple headlines that I thought were just fantastic. This first one here.
WACCINE.
Is,
this one is fun. I do want to read a little bit of this.
Go for it.
Can I take this one?
Yeah,
This is from WFLA.com, and the headline is New COVID-19 Vaccine as Important as Moon Landing in World of Science. Which is just hilarious when you are a fringy type person. The the irony is too much to handle. New COVID-19 vaccine as important as moon landing in the world of science. I think maybe I could agree with that. I think that's something we can all agree on.
So yeah, I mean, this gives us an out. You know, again, like the whole brushing and labeling of conspiracy theorists against the narrative. This is a great way to virtue signal those people, you know, like, if you don't believe in the moon landing, you are just as idiotic as not believing the COVID-19 vaccine. But go ahead.
Right. The article reads like this. It's an important week in the fight against COVID-19. On Thursday, the FDA is expected to vote to authorize Pfizer's vaccine. This was coming out on the 7th and is related to the U.S. Vaccinations could begin quickly after that. We are getting a better understanding of how the newest COVID-19 vaccine will be stored and distributed by in the Tampa Bay area. Tampa General Hospital is one of just 5 hospitals in the state of Florida that will get the vaccine first. Quote, what we're watching is really a moon landing type of endeavor that's happened the past 5 or 6 months, said Dr. Jason Wilson at TGH.
You mean the big hoax, the giant hoax? They duped the entire population of Earth with fake footage of the moon from... Okay. Go on.
Orchestrated and put together as a Hollywood storyline in order to further the agenda of people in charge. That's basically it. Then it just talks about a lot of the same vaccine stuff. But I just like that quote. You got it. What we're watching is really a moon landing type of endeavor that's happened the past 5 or 6 months.
Yeah,
okay,
fantastic. Good to know. Great job, guy. Who is this guy talking? What's his name?
I lost it.
Jason Wilson. Dr.
Yes.
Jason Wilson.
Jason Wilson. Dr. Johnny Bananas.
I'm sure somebody got in his ear, too, like, make it sound really important. Oh, what's the most important thing we've... moon landing.
Really hardcore. The indisputable truth of the moon landing.
And, you know, the virus came from China, so, of course...
That's racist.
That's right. I technically, can I say that? Am I allowed to say that? Am I allowed to say that it came from China?
It might be more racist if you say it.
Maybe. Yeah, they don't like us Japanese people over there.
The Japanese and the Chinese.
We've been mean to them in the past. But here's some Chinese
mean
news.
to each other.
Sure.
Welcome to Chinese News.
ABCnews.go.com. Sinovac aims for 600 million dose capacity for COVID vaccine. Chinese vaccine company Sinovac says it is planning to complete a new facility to double its annual vaccine capacity to 600 million doses by the end of the year, while also securing a $500 million investment in a boost to its COVID-19 vaccine efforts. So this is in Taiwan, so cashing in. And,
well, Bill Gates gave us the math. He said he makes 22 X's his money in the investments in vaccine. He makes 22 times what he invests. So wow. It's a
Why
it's a
not
pretty
33?
good market.
Yeah, why not 33? Might as well just get there.
It's a great product when basically all of society, the mainstream media, and governments require people to use your product, or they're bad people.
Yeah, definitely. But my whole thing is why would you get a vaccine that came from China? And
well, that is, that's something that just sort of passed by a few months ago. We did mention it on the show, but, allegedly China's had a vaccine for like 4 months or something like that.
Right.
And so
they hoarded the sequence too. They didn't share the sequence of the virus with the world. So there was an issue there. But anyway, yeah, I just think I think the world has trust issues, except for those that are willing to take this, like Brazil, Turkey, and Indonesia. So, they're all compromised, is my quick analysis of the situation.
You don't say.
China. Okay. This next one. This one is this headline. We can even get into this real quick too. This is part of a giant psyop, in my opinion.
Talking about
psyops.
Yeah,
talking
and
about this Flipboard one.
Yes.
Did you ever have the feeling that you were being watched?
This one is fun. Flipboard.com, new smartphone tool to track side effects of the coronavirus vaccine may be vulnerable to manipulation.
Oh, you don't say.
Oh.
You don't say.
A new smartphone technology designed to provide real-time warnings of side effects in the first Americans vaccinated against the coronavirus may be vulnerable to manipulation, raising concerns malicious actors could gain access to the system to undermine confidence in the shots. Now, hold on. Let me open up the full article here.
Well,
this is pretty...
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I was going to say the full article is from the Washington Post, and I had to find the Flipboard because Washington Post, the paywall stopped me from reading
into
it.
the mainframe.
Go for it. Read it.
They're not paywalling me. So yes, a new smartphone technology designed to provide real-time warnings of side effects in the first Americans vaccinated. That's pretty weird. I mean, you try to think, what does that mean? It's like real-time warnings. So if I get the vax and I have a little app on my phone, is it timed? Do they know, like, the first day this will happen, the first day headache and fever, second day you'll be growing a tail, third day you'll be, it's kind of weird. They're giving you real-time warnings of side effects in the first Americans, but saying that it might be vulnerable to manipulations, raising concerns malicious actors could gain access to the system and undermine confidence in the shots. Federal and state health officials say. Here's a question. Why don't you just make it secure? Instead of making a whole hullabaloo about how this is it's a great app, you're going to want it, except expect it to be hacked. Why don't you just not just raise the security? Why even make a big deal about it?
Well, you know why. You know why.
Yeah, I do know why.
This is a great narrative setup here.
It is.
Because
it's laying a foundation.
Yes, it's laying a foundation because of all the side effects people are going to have. It's going to be kind of unpopular, right? Like, look at this tracking app that tracks all the side effects of the people. Look at all these side effects. It's out of control. Well, they can say, "Oh no, it got hacked."
It's hacked. Don't worry.
It's hacked. People are they multiplying the number of reports, and it can't be trusted. It's not accurate. But I mean, it's such a weird thing to put out there. There's no reason to put it out there otherwise. Like, why would you put out there this app that tracks all of your side effects can be hacked?
Well, let's learn more. The text messaging system called vSafe, vSafe is very safe, is intended to provide early indications about possible adverse reactions from the vaccines. Using the messaging program, people who have received the shots can report symptoms and other health effects, such as missed work. Their responses could prompt phone calls from a team of safety professionals. But the technology is raising red flags for some health and technology experts who say hackers or anti-vaccine activists may be able to access the software to create false or misleading reports. You know what? You don't even have to hack it. It sounds like you can just call and report a side effect. You don't need to be an expert Matrix style hacker. You just call and tell them something misleading. Like the logic of this warning is pretty faulty. Officials' unease is acute because vaccine hesitancy stoked by a well-funded anti-vaccine movement.
Well-funded.
That's a conspiracy theory.
Well-funded. Where is this funding coming from?
This is some. I
don't think we've seen any of this money.
I know. Washington Post's conspiracy theory, stoked by a well-funded anti-vaccine movement that makes prolific use of social and other media, is expected to be a central obstacle to the widespread immunization required to end the pandemic. Not rolling out V-Safe early to healthcare providers and public health workers who will be asked to promote it has also raised concerns. You don't say, because these foot soldiers of the mass vaccination campaign have had little opportunity to see how the system works. That's by design.
Of course.
Officials at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, which is overseeing V-Safe, say they are beginning to increase messaging about the software and how to ensure its proper use. The vulnerability in the new tool, quote, is a potential risk. No kidding, said one federal health official who spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss internal deliberations. Oh, good. This is what I love. My favorite thing about modern journalism. You can just say an anonymous source and you just get to say whatever you want. This anonymous person who's really high up there knows what he's talking about. Don't worry. It's Dave from the mailroom. Safeguards are in place to block false information from being spread, but using them, quote, eats up time that could be used to investigate actual adverse events, said another official who spoke on similar terms. The CDC said in a statement that the smartphone-based tool was developed to allow, quote, people to report how they are feeling after COVID-19 vaccination to the CDC in almost real time. The voluntary system is in addition to existing safety monitoring programs, the agency said. Reports to V-Safe indicating a medically significant health impact are followed up by trained personnel. CDC vaccine experts may contact the person's healthcare provider to request more information, the agency said. Now, that is an interesting detail. The CDC vaccine experts may contact the person's healthcare provider to request more information. This seems like a violation of HIPAA. You know, your medical information is supposed to be private, and you're only, as the person of interest are the only one allowed to give
information, distribute
permission.
Information. Yeah.
Yes, or at least permission to distribute your medical information. But this does not say with permission. It just says CDC vaccine experts may contact the person's healthcare provider to request more information, the agency said. That seems like a HIPAA violation to me, but who knows? I'm just a podcaster. Podcasterson. The V-Safe platform is in the final stage of development, which includes security testing, the statement said. Okay, well, you should probably continue to do that. The messaging tool promises to give officials a quicker signal of any safety issues associated with coronavirus vaccines. Of course, we know we need this because the first getters of the vaccine are actually part of an extended test. I guess that just stands on its own. That's one thing that this article really makes clear is, we're not really sure, so you need to report all your side effects. We did do the testing. It is safe. Don't worry, unless you have some sort of allergic reaction to, I don't know, anything, medicine, food, or I forget what the third one was. So
by the way,
this is an extension of the trials.
Yeah, the bunch of people in the chat mentioned it, and I think I'm seeing the same thing here. That back in March, HIPAA was suspended.
Really?
Yeah,
I did not know that.
Yeah, to free up information flow and coordinate the public and private sectors' response to the novel coronavirus. Yeah, it says March here. Yeah.
That was really early.
Yeah.
That was the first month of the pandemic. It took them 1 month to decide, It took them less than a month to decide to throw away all medical privacy.
Well, it's killing people, Basil. Look at all the
That's
dead people
sketchy,
under
man.
25 on the
Not
streets.
in March. Not in March. Wow, that is spooky. I mean, talk about the immediate loss of privacy. That is, HIPAA laws are no joke either. People go to jail for a long time for breaching HIPAA laws.
Yeah.
Wow.
There you go.
All right. So there you go. I don't know. There's more. It's actually a very long article, but again, like all these mainstream articles, they just kind of tell you something and then repeat it 40 times.
Yeah. But I really do think that this is just in general a setup to have an answer to all the side effects people are going to complain about.
Right.
Or even die from. But mostly the complaints of the side effects. Because, there's some concerns here with a couple of these reports here. One being from PBS NewsHour, pbs.org. This is not conspiracy theory. This is PBS.
I know. I loved that it was from PBS.
A whistleblower says the FDA isn't properly regulating vaccine facilities.
Oh, no.
That's concerning.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so it's actually an interview here, so we're not going to read the article, but the overall thing here, the summary basically, while much attention has been given to approving COVID-19 vaccine, there's been little paid to the facilities where many vaccines are manufactured. A recent investigation in Vanity Fair, your new favorite truth news agency, features a former
magazine turned truth tellers.
Well, it is weird that Vanity Fair. We've had a couple articles.
Yeah,
where they're trying
we've been
to
through this.
Yeah. Anyway, Vanity Fair features a former FDA inspector turned whistleblower who says that the FDA is not doing its job. And Vanity Fair contributing editor Catherine Eban, the author of the piece, joins Harry Srinivasan to discuss, and it's a whole thing here. The part that I found interesting was because one of the questions was that this is being picked up by anti-vaxxers. Okay, so this is Hari Srinivasan who says,
again, anybody who says, "Oh, that's an interesting piece of information. This is something everybody should know before getting jabbed by a strange rushed chemical."
Yeah. So here's the exchange. Hari said, "So this comes in an era where there is increased vaccine hesitancy. The World Health Organization says that that is one of the top 10 problems facing the planet right now. An article like yours. I can easily see an anti-vax community picking it up and saying, here you go. Here's one more reason we should not get a COVID vaccine or any other because these plants are horribly regulated. What's your response to that?" And she responds, Catherine, "Well, I'm glad you bring that up because when these issues first came to my attention, my reaction was, I'm never writing that article because the last thing I want to do is contribute to vaccine hesitancy."
Great. What a wonderful journalist.
Apologetic.
What a great truth-seeking journalist.
However, I think it is critical that the FDA does its job. So we were very clear in the article that the anti-vaxxer position linking vaccines to autism is really based on debunked science, full of conflicts of interest. The issue we raised in this story have nothing to do with the anti-vaxxer position. They have to do with whether the FDA is doing the job it is supposed to do, which is ensuring that all these manufacturing plants follow good manufacturing practices.
Yeah, and what's the saddest thing is that she felt the need to give that caveat.
Yeah.
Can't you just report the truth without having to kneel and promise that you're not an anti-vaxxer? No, you can't.
No way. So this is interesting. Whistleblower calling out the FDA that they're not doing their job monitoring the vaccine facility, which that, I mean, at face value, any objective person would look at that and say, yeah, that is a reason to question these vaccines they're rolling out in 6 months as opposed to 6 years.
Anti-vaxxer.
No, it's just common sense.
A mega vaxxer, a vax lover should look at that and be like, oh, you're right. That is a problem.
They should really come up with a name for the people that are pro-vax, Like mega vaxxers is pretty good, actually. I like that.
Thank you.
Mega vaxxers. One more quick thing. This is another one of those pieces of ammo that you can look up if you get people that talk about the science and they tell you,
Science is truth.
Okay, well, then you should give them this article here from mdpi.com.
Which, funny enough, is the journal run by the racist Asian from last episode.
The white supremacist Asian.
Yes, he believes in law and order, so he's a white supremacist Asian.
Yeah. The article is titled Relative Incidence of Office Visits and Cumulative Rates of Billed Diagnoses Along the Axis of Vaccination. It's a fancy way of saying just measuring the health of the children, really, the young people who receive vaccines. And it's based on visits to the doctor's office. And it's got the whole study's in there, so people that are better at breaking down the scientific literature can go in there and take a look. But the conclusions, this is the first paragraph in the conclusion section. It says, quote, "We could detect no widespread negative health effects in the unvaccinated other than the rare but significant vaccine-targeted diagnosis. We can conclude that the unvaccinated children in this practice are not overall less healthy than the vaccinated, in that indeed the vaccinated children appear to be significantly less healthy than the unvaccinated."
Wow.
That's pretty crazy. I mean,
significantly.
Significantly. So basically, what they measured here, and I tried to read through this, but again, I'm not a scientist, so it's sometimes the scientific literature goes over my Mandalorian helmet. But they basically measured the children who visit the hospital, not the hospitals, but like what did it call it? The office visits. And if you get the children that get vaccines seem to come back more often because they have problems, and maybe there's no direct correlation, but they seem to have more problems with allergies and learning disabilities and attention deficit disorders and neurodevelopment disorders and like all kinds of chronic illnesses, all kinds of problems.
And what vaccines are they talking about here? Are they talking about vaccines in general, or are they talking about the coronavirus vaccine?
I think it's I think it's relative because they don't have data on the coronavirus vaccine.
Okay.
I mean, they just started that, right? So,
well, I don't know. Maybe they have like a child department of the test or something. Although that seems heinous.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, it's a good paper to sort of take a look at and see. And I'm sure, the more well-versed scientists out there can perhaps poke some holes in the conclusion and call me fake news for reporting on a paper without understanding it fully. But I'm just reading it. I'm just reporting the information that I see here and reading a paragraph from the conclusion section, which clearly indicates that vaccinated children appear to be significantly less healthy than the unvaccinated. So there you go.
Yeah, just reading the study. It's science.
Reading the stuff. Science. Science is truth.
Science is truth.
Listen to Dr. Fauci.
Yeah. Well, that was a lot of vaccine stuff. We have not talked about that. I'm kind of. It's nice to kind of save it all up for one moment, so we don't have to harp on it every single show.
Yeah.
But okay, pretty good. Well, anything else before we take a quick break?
I don't think so. I mean,
what time is it? Let me pull up. My computer time has been so off. It's just increasingly getting more and more incorrect. So I've been having to pull up time.is.
You have to go to a website to get
I got
to
get the exact time from a website because my computer just can't do it. Oh, wow. 2:52. Okay. Well, we got to keep rolling then.
Yes.
Let's take a quick break. It's a short break. Don't worry. Okay, folks, we're going to take a very short break, but don't go anywhere because after the break, in just a couple minutes, we have a mysterious unknown illness has been popping up in India that they explicitly say is not COVID-19. So we're going to learn about that right after the break. Then we're going to talk a little bit about the data scientist who had a very aggressive raid on her home the other day. And then, of course, everybody's favorite, a Nephilim update. But first, we want to thank some of our producers of the show. What? Producers? That's right, producers. You might notice that we don't read any ads on this show. We have philosophical reasons for that, concerning the advertising industry really being the new theology, the base of a global economy, and being so wrapped up in private data and big brother systems that even the most innocent of advertising seems like you're kneeling to a golden calf. And so we decided long ago that, considering our listeners as a commodity to be packaged up and sold to advertising companies was just the wrong way to go. And not only that, we don't actually even sell anything. Somebody came to me the other day and they're like, well, it's not really that impressive that you don't advertise. All these other shows don't advertise. And I checked out the other shows and they don't advertise somebody else. They just advertise their own stuff, advertise their own pills or their own, survival things. And look, that's better than advertising, of course. But it is still kind of advertising. We don't even own our own merch store. So we really have chosen, we've taken a vow of poverty, Gons.
I know.
But, it's really, we feel it's the only way to stay completely in the realm of integrity, not being incentivized to collect as many listeners as possible so we can bundle them up and sell their trust and attention for our own personal gain. Instead, we run on the value for value model, which is you guys, if you enjoy the show, if you get any value out of the show, if you give your trust or attention to anything we say, you have the opportunity to put value back into the show. And this is cool for a couple of reasons. One of them is it keeps the show, like I said, in the realm of integrity versus us trying to be alarmist and scare you into buying some product, which is, really, again, almost just as bad as advertising. But what are you going to do? Now, I will say a lot of people really love to be alarmed. They love to have their being freaked by a lot of horrible news. In fact, there's studies out there. Neuroscience says that alarmism and outrage actually fires up the reward system of your brain. So, being outraged rewards you. And that's why advertising takes advantage of outrage. And you see it not just from the mainstream, but you can see it from all sorts of different outlets. So anyways, on a philosophical level, we decided that was not the way to go. Instead, we are value for value. You get the opportunity to rebel against the advertising industry, the entity. It's almost a spiritual entity, this advertising throughout the world. And you get to rebel against that and place your own value on the media you consume. No longer will big corporations and advertising agencies determine the value of the media that you enjoy. I believe it is the future. So, and those who decide to become producers, that's a real title. You can put that on your LinkedIn, put it on your resume, whatever you want to do. Give them our email address, canarycryradio@gmail.com, and we will vouch for you. Now, the easiest way to become a producer is to head over to patreon.com/CCNT. And those who hate the break section will be happy to hear that we have no new producers over on the Patreon page. That's patreon.com/CCNT for Canary Cry News Talk. If you want to do that, we've got a bunch of bonus episodes and all sorts of fun stuff. You can get access over there. But if you don't like Patreon, that's okay. A lot of people don't like Patreon. You can head on over to canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
That's right. canarycryradio.com/support is back in action. It was crumbled. It was gone for quite a while. We were wondering why nobody was producing the show, but it is back up and it is waiting for you. There's a lot of literature over there at canarycryradio.com/support that will explain a little bit more the value for value model and all the fun twists and turns thereof. But other than that, there's all sorts of fun ways to become a producer. One of them is just through regular old PayPal. You can come in with monthly producership, or if commitment is not your thing, you can make a one-time producership in any amount. And Gons, who do we have coming in on the PayPal?
Today on the PayPal, we have 4 new producers. The first one, Courtney P. Producer
Thank you very
Courtney
much.
P.
Producer Courtney. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And then we also have producer William S.
Thank you very much, producer William S.
Billy coming in with $33, by the way.
Ooh.
And then we also have producer Kevin D. Thank you, Kevin D.
Thank you very much, producer Kevin.
And he's a subscriber, so he will be producing the show each month.
Thank you very much. The monthly producerships really go a long, long way to laying down a very stable foundation for the show. So we appreciate all of our monthly producers.
Yes. And one more new monthly producer, producer Jonathan W. Thank you.
Thank you very much, producer Jonathan.
And other ways you can support the show besides your treasures with your time and talent. You can send us jingles, ISOs, anything to really get the show more interesting, or not get the show interesting. What am I trying to say? Make the show more interesting, or make it more yours as producers. Yeah. We don't have any jingles today.
All right, real quick. R.I.P. Epstein, a.k.a. Lil Mossad, over on Twitch, is pointing out producer William S. is producer William Shakespeare.
Oh,
sent $33.
That... it's not, but I would like to just think it is.
Did we wait a second? It's Vax Week, and we have not been promoting some sort of vaccine producership.
You know why it's okay? It's because it'll be Vax month, and then it'll be Vax year. And
That's
then we'll
a good point.
Canary Cry Vax.
I will mention though, since producership is slightly low, I will say that usually, for those who are new, we have themed producerships. One of them that was sort of organically started by the producers was the 33. It's an attempt to reclaim the number 33 from the powers that be. So thank you very much, producer William Shakespeare, for that. There's also the Trump tax donation, which is $7.50 or $75 or something of $7.50. That was always a fun one. And I think just for right now, I will say that the vaccine producership or Vax Week or Vax Month, I think $19 for COVID-19.
Not
so
bad.
if you come in, if you produce the show for $19 or some,
iteration of 19,
some iteration of 19, that'll be the, I don't know, with the WACCINE. It'll be WACCINE producer sheep.
Oh, did you just call them sheep? You called their producer sheep.
No, I'm calling the WACCINE sheep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice save.
Yeah, thanks. All right, on to art.
One art, please.
We love the art that we receive because it just adds so much color to the show. The first one I would like to share is from producer Allie. Woo. And Allie drew a picture of Basil Podcasterson.
Oh, this is great. Producer Allie, the youngest known producer, and she is Gazlyn Bonds in the Twitch chat there. And yes, this is for those who are just listening, a beautiful rendition of a medieval Basil holding a cat. I've got a sweet cloak and a sword. And yes, referring to Basil Podcasterson, my medieval name.
Your footwear is most impressive, by the way. I really...
my laced sandals.
Yeah, it's really pretty awesome.
Thank you.
Nice work.
My new kicks.
I like how you say thank you. Like you did anything for.
Oh, well, they're my shoes. They're my medieval shoes.
Okay.
Got them from Medieval Journeys at the Medieval Mall.
Yeah, not to be outdone. Thank you, producer Allie. Epony Blaze in the chat. Put you in action. And
yes. A mixed media.
Yes.
She has photoshopped Basil Podcasterson into a medieval sort of town landscape there. I want to read these. I got to get them close. Here we go. Oh, yeah, that's good. And there's street signs. One of them is Ye Old... Oh, I can't get close enough. Podcastersonville. That's good. What is this one? Oh, I can't see it. But it says The Adventures of Basil Podcasterson, in which Basil and Monty Cat Kitten visit Gonzo's grotto.
Oh, it says my grotto. Excellent.
Yes, it's your grotto.
Very cool.
And,
everything's in black and white.
Now in my my virtual space, I've gotten so close to this. It's the only thing I can see. So I'm living within Gonza's grotto here.
Nice.
Thank you very much. That's producer Charlie, Epony Blaze, in the chat.
Thank you for that. Oh, hold on. Something slipped on my thing here.
Uh-oh.
Oh, stop slipping. Okay. Next up, we wanted to thank producer Grace for bringing us quotes from the show. She always does this with some interesting one-liners that we come up with on the fly here. And this first one, I think this was you who said this. The kids that don't believe in Santa, they are the rebels.
Yes, they are the rebels.
They are the rebels.
I forget exactly why I said this. We had quite a conversation about Santa Claus and some sort of bigger context, but that's very good. The Christmas spirit is alive here in Canary Cryville. And if you're anti-Christmas, we're not in the spirit. So
I like how you play both sides of that.
Yes.
Good job.
Make everybody happy here.
Nice little beating around the bush there. And the second one, I'm Basil Podcasterson. It really just made an impression on all of our producers.
Yeah, it's like a family crest type of look here. We've got some sprigs surrounding, and really a beautiful sort of graphic design of "I'm Basil Podcasterson."
It's almost like a wreath, and it reminds me of the UN logo.
The UN logo?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's like like the sprigs of wheat or whatever. Very fun. Thank you very much, producer Grace and producer Allie and producer Charlie for all of our art for this show.
Yes, and real quick, I do want to mention. Oh boy, I gotta scroll back a little bit to remember the name. Jade. What was it? Jade Bouncerson. Was it's somebody in the YouTubes there. We'll keep him anonymous.
Okay.
They left timestamps in the last video, episode 273, on the Face Like the Sun YouTube channel, and YouTube hid it.
What?
YouTube hid the comment.
Oh, got rid of our timestamps?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
And I think it's because they left some links back to our website and some things, so YouTube doesn't like it when there's outbound links to truthy type of places. So that's possibly why, but I think what we're going to start doing, or what I'm going to have to start doing, is taking whoever does the timestamps. I'll pin the comment, but I will also cut and paste it in the description section of the video. And what that'll do is it creates these little divots on the timeline, and it'll allow people to just skip to those spots instead of
that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
And yes, thank you very, very much for those timestamps, those producers who help us with that, because it helps people who might find the show maybe for the first time, or they just don't have enough time to watch all the way through. It helps them kind of skip around and choose what topic they want to listen to. Very helpful, especially for new listeners.
Amen. All right. So that's all I think we should mention. We can mention canarycrimemerchperch.com.
Yep. CanaryCrimeMerchPerch.com. Get there. It's producer run. Again, like I mentioned, Gons and I don't run it. It's got all sorts of Canary Crime merch put together by Producer Dust. Thank you very much, Producer Dust. And everything is sold at cost to keep everything as cheap as possible for the Canarians who are interested in merch. You do have the opportunity to tip the webmaster, which please do. It costs him money to run it. You can tip the artist, or you can tip Gons and myself. That's CanaryCrimeMerchPerch.com.
Oh, I have a jingle for that too.
Yeah. There you go. Okay, should we get back to the show?
Let's do it.
Yes, it's wake-up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
Okay, I got a couple things to bring to you here before we get to your Nephilim update. The first one is from beloved CNN.com.
Communist News Network.
Yes. The article is titled Unidentified Illness Hospitalizes More Than 300 People in India. The article reads like this. I know. An unidentified illness has hospitalized more than 300 people in the southeastern India, including one who has died. Only one, okay. According to local officials investigating the cases. Patients in the city of Eluru in the state of Andhra Pradesh reported a range of symptoms, including seizures, loss of consciousness, and some nausea over the weekend. Wow, those are pretty serious. Seizures, loss of consciousness, and nausea. Said Dola Joshi Roy, the district surveillance officer of Eluru's West Godavari district. This comes as India continues to battle the COVID-19 pandemic with the world's second highest number of infections. Andhra Pradesh is one of the worst affected states and currently has more than 800,000 confirmed cases.
Whoa.
But, yeah, that's a lot of cases for such a small region. But COVID-19 wasn't the cause of the mass hospitalizations over the weekend. Quote, all patients have tested negative for COVID-19, said
all
Roy.
Patients. That's unusual.
All patients.
That's really weird. Every single patient.
That is very strange. Adding that about 180 patients have now been discharged while the rest are stable. The patient who died had reported similar symptoms to the others, but then had a fatal but unrelated cardiac arrest, she said. Okay. I'm always curious. How do they absolutely determine that a heart attack is unrelated to the sickness they have?
They can't. Well, our bodies are one thing.
That's true. A note released by Andhra Pradesh's health department said that the initial blood tests did not find any evidence of a viral infection, such as dengue or chikungunya, which are both caused by mosquito bites. Authorities are now testing water samples in Eluru for contamination. After all the patients were found to receive their water from a common source, samples have been collected from 57,863 households.
Jeez.
And sent to a forensic laboratory. Yeah, that's a big operation. The cause is still unknown, but still we are doing all kinds of testing, including testing food and milk, said Roy. Specialists from the All India Institute of Medical Sciences and neurologists from out of state have also arrived in Eluru to conduct further neurotoxic tests and are waiting for the results. The Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, Y.S. Jagan Mohan Reddy visited the patients Monday. So, the reason I want to bring this up is it's kind of weird and notable, according to CNN. But this was very reminiscent of us doing shows in February when in January, when it was like, oh, there's this weird thing happening in China, and it was just, some people had a weird disease. Isn't that weird? We're going to shut down travel from China. But other than that, just this weird stuff. Nobody knows what it is.
I think it was even back in December. I think we were looking at it.
No,
December.
We know now that it was talked about in December, but it really wasn't.
I think we reported on some of that weirdness stuff in December. I don't think it was after.
Neither here nor there. Whenever it was, it started as, just this weird little incident in China. This weird little disease that people are getting. Strange. So I thought it was just worth putting on record that, we saw this happening. And I'm not saying that anything is going to come of it, but just good to pay attention. At this point, I'm going to pay attention to all unknown diseases popping up around the world. I would be curious to see what that AI, Blue Dot, the Canadian AI that caught coronavirus way ahead of any humans. I'd be, or at least on the Western Hemisphere. I'd be very curious to see if this Blue Dot AI has anything to say about this Indian disease. So there you go. Easy peasy. Next, coming from Tallahassee.com, the headline is Agents Raid Home of Fired Florida Data Scientist Who Built COVID-19 Dashboard.
Now is the time to do what you're told.
And you mentioned this last episode, but there wasn't a whole lot of info. So now let's see what they have to say at Tallahassee.com. State police brandishing firearms Monday raided the Tallahassee home of Rebecca Jones, the former Department of Health employee who built the state's much-praised COVID-19 dashboard before being fired over what she said was refusing to manipulate data. Quote, "They pointed a gun in my face. They pointed guns at my kids," Jones tweeted shortly before 5 p.m. Jones, who launched her own COVID-19 dashboard after she was fired. Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
It was her own COVID-19 dashboard.
Yeah, I went into the whole deal, so I'll comment on it.
Good,
you can read some of it.
And used crowdsourcing to raise money to support it, said the agents knocked on her door around 8:30 a.m. that morning, took all her, quote, hardware and tech after showing her a warrant based on a complaint filed by the Florida Department of Health. Yeah, this is really interesting because as you'll hear, Jones is a left-leaning person. Yeah. Who's really, really invested in sort of the mainstream narrative. But that's a bold move, being fired from the department. Well,
you know why she was fired.
Yeah, we'll get into that. Okay. It'll mention it in the article here. But I'm just saying that the bold move is, no, I have all the right information, so I will create my own COVID-19 dashboard. I mean, can you imagine a conservative starting their own, quote, sort of pseudo-official COVID-19 dashboard? They would probably be raided also.
Yeah, well, yeah.
A video accompanying the post shows Florida Department of Law Enforcement agents invests at the front door with guns drawn, asking who else was in the house. She said her husband and 2 children were inside as they escorted her out of the house. The video shows an agent entering the house with his gun drawn, calling for her husband to come down the stairs. When an agent told her to calm down, Jones said, quote, "He just pointed a gun at my children." FDLE spokeswoman Gretel Plessinger sent a statement confirming the seizure of computer equipment at Jones's Tallahassee home and said agents are investigating. Who is she? Rebecca Jones was fired from the Florida Department of Health, so she built her own COVID-19 dashboard. Document, it's got the search warrant and stuff there. FDLE began an investigation November 10th, 2020, after receiving a complaint from the Department of Health regarding unauthorized access to a Department of Health messaging system which is part of an emergency alert system to be used for emergencies only, Plessinger said. Plessinger said when agents arrived, they knocked and waited 20 minutes for Jones to answer the door. Quote, Mrs. Jones refused to come to the door for 20 minutes and hung up on agents. After several attempts and verbal notifications that law enforcement officers were there to serve a legal search warrant, Ms. Jones eventually came to the door and allowed agents to enter. Plessinger said Miss Jones's family was upstairs when agents made entry into the home. The investigation is active, she said. As in, quote, as in all cases, our role is to determine the facts of what happened, and a state attorney determines whether or not charges are filed. Jones, the former Geographic Information Science manager, was fired for insubordination in May after being reprimanded several times, state officials said. Her paperwork doesn't state a cause for her being fired, but she claims she was terminated for refusing to manipulate health data to cast Florida in a more favorable light. She tweeted, quote, they took my phone and the computer I use every day to post the case numbers in Florida and school cases for the entire country. They took evidence of corruption. They took evidence of corruption at the state level. They claimed it was about a security breach. This was DeSantis. He sent the Gestapo. Let's see. The article is quite long after that. Give me 1 second here. An unidentified subject gained. So they talk about her using the emergency broadcasting system, basically, to try to convince other health workers to revolt against the state.
Yeah.
And that's about it. Yeah. And this was the text message, like emergency text message system. After she was fired, she accessed the emergency broadcast system and sent out a little message to basically revolt against the state.
Yeah. Well, so I watched an entire interview, and thank you to producer Aaron for sending it to me. Mm-hmm. She did back in July. It was a sit-down conversation because this happened in April or June or something like that. Maybe it was April when she was fired. And, I just sat through her telling the story of what happened and everything. And so the conclusion based on kind of what I was looking at. So what happened, she had put together this dashboard, which was seen I think maybe not 100 million, but several million hits early on. News agencies and journalists were all picking up on it. And so she was sort of the not like the face of it, but sort of quietly the one that programmed the algorithms and everything else. And the state of Florida, the DeSantis crew, basically they had come up with a plan to reopen schools. Mm-hmm. And they came up with the plan before the data came in, right? And so they had the paper published. She talks about how they were stapling together the report as I was giving them the data. And basically they asked her to change the private data to reflect the legislation that they were ready to unleash to bring people back to schools. Mm-hmm. And so she was like, no, I won't do it. And she stood firm. And I think she had said that she sent an email to her lawyer or somebody maybe in law within the organization, because she was working for the government, about a whistleblower type of situation, like if she can blow the whistle. And some of that leaked to people. And that's how because she didn't even know what happened. She just woke up the next day and phone was blowing up and, her name is all over the place. And so here's what I noticed. A few things to notice. This lady's like a data scientist. Okay. So she made this app or this dashboard that analyzes the data coming in from the vaccine.
And
or
for
from the
those,
virus.
I saw a couple questions. In this case, a dashboard, she basically just made a website.
It's kind of like a website
had the information, had a map or something,
right?
And just had COVID cases on the
COVID
map.
cases. And one of the things she mentioned was that she was given a whole bunch of information. This goes back to the HIPAA thing. She was given everything, all the private information, the names, the locations, the age, their health, blah, blah, all kinds of stuff. And her job was to strip all the doxing parts of the data and just make it, massage it to where she can publish something publicly. And so think about that for a second. Handing a scientist, this is a lot of integrity issues, right? Like giving a scientist all that data, who, what, where, all this kind of stuff. But she claims to be a wholesome scientist, so she didn't really abuse that. But I think being asked to manipulate the data, that's on the government there in Florida. And, I think people can get caught up in the right, left, and Republican, Democrat discussion and be like, well, the Republicans would never do such a thing. Yeah, they would. They would ask a data scientist to change the data so it matches their legislation that they already agreed upon and already printed the papers.
Even about left or right. It's just the state. It's just governments
in general. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's obvious. Now, the other part of it, and she was saying that, in more recent posts, she was talking about how schools should not open because based on the data that I have and the way she massages the data or whatever, there's still a spread that happens and blah, 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 blah. The problem is, and in the interview,
I love that because after this, the CDC says school is pretty much the safest place for kids.
Well,
to
she's
be.
like disagreeing with the CDC in the whole thing. But basically, she's taking the data that comes in, and she claims to have a way to not manipulate really, but just
how to lie with statistics,
analyze the statistics to come up with explanations, right? And so she. What she's defending, because I saw on social media all over the place, the woman who defends science is being taken out by DeSantis, right? DeSantis, they sent the Gestapo to stop the lady defending science. And it's like, no, she's not defending science. She's defending her own analytics, her own algorithms of the data itself. And the guy that was interviewing,
in one explanation of it, and this is just the way, the left would say just about a person on the right doing the same thing, is she's basically running a disinfo campaign.
Well, you can call it that, but it's her own assessment.
That's what they would say if she was a right-leaning person.
Oh, she was right. Yeah, obviously.
She was running a disinfo misinformation campaign.
So the video was published on the Newhouse School of Public something. It was some university in Florida that she had graduated from, and the Dean Emeritus, David Rubin, was the one interviewing her, and he basically said, like, hey, garbage in, garbage out with data. How do you know that the data is clean and all that? And she even admitted, she's like, well, we don't know. There's lots of gaps in the data that we collect. Right. So it's not really clear, but based on the data, she's very proud of her work in terms of how she thinks, you're giving a better idea of what's going on with everything.
Right.
And so she's really defending her own data analytics software. That's all she's doing. She's not defending science. So, but on the other hand, her rebellion against the state, and her, I don't know what the word is, just disobeying, what the government wants down there, warranted a type of, hey, you're taking state level information and you're using it on your own now. You're not having it filtered through the state, and so that makes you I don't know, maybe a terrorist or something. I don't know how they labeled her.
My understanding is that they actually went and tried to. It was just a search warrant. It was not an arrest warrant or anything.
Okay, search warrant.
No, it was just a search warrant that they executed. And she kept them out there for 20 minutes and refused to open the door. So you're going to escalate the situation if you do that.
Yeah. So,
but the point being, it was in response to her accessing the emergency text message program unlawfully. She was fired. Yeah. She is not allowed to have access to that. And so she basically infiltrated,
state level
state infrastructure, emergency response infrastructure to send her little message and, promote her own statistics and her disinfo campaign.
Right. So there you go. That's really what it is. It's not, again, I want to reiterate the point. She's not defending science. Yeah. She's just defending her own analytical software, basically.
Yeah. And if she wasn't on the left, this would all be presented in a totally different way. Yeah. And that's, definitely. Of course, not some big secret. Definitely. So, okay. Well, there you go. We got to wrap this up, Gon. So what do you got for a Nephilim update?
Nephilim update. Nephilim update. Nephilim update.
This is Gematsu.com. Headline, El Shaddai, Ascension of the Metatron, coming to PC. Yeah.
Metatron. We got some Book of Enoch theology going into this video game.
El Shaddai, Ascension of the Metatron first launched for PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 in April 2011 in Japan, followed by August 2011 in North America and September 2011 in Europe. Here's an overview of the game via former publisher Ignition Entertainment. Long ago, when the seed of mankind was first taking root, God laid down his plans for the human race. He appointed the Grigori, the most human of all angels in heaven, to watch over them from the celestial realm. The Grigori, known to some as the Watchers, dutifully continued their vigilance through the ages. Over time, they became fascinated by the lives humans led, with the uninhibited freedom and passions. Subtle at first, the fascination soon led to feeling of longing, desire and lust, until one fateful day, the Grigori turned away from God and descended to earth. When heaven's highest order, the Council of Elders, discovered the Grigori's betrayal, they were furious. Their anger only grew stronger when they learned that the fallen angels had taken in daughters of men, deviating mankind from God's great plan. To set matters right, the council decided to send a terrible flood to wipe out the entire human race. However, there was one man who objected to the council's decisions. His name was Enoch, a scribe whose righteousness moved God to bring him to heaven while still living mortal. The council heard Enoch's pleas and agreed to spare mankind on the condition that Enoch capture the fallen angels and bring them back to heaven to be imprisoned. To prevent the impending flood, Enoch returned to earth on a mission to escort the fallen angels back to heaven. Upon his arrival, he confronted Azazel, one of the 7 who fell. However, Azazel refused to return to heaven and went into hiding along with the others, warning Enoch not to follow. And so, Enoch's long journey begins.
Wow, they really fit the whole thing.
Just the whole thing is just there. I kind of want to play this now. El Shaddai, Ascension of the Metatron, is just a straight rip of Genesis 6. So that's our Nephilim update.
Nephilim update. Nephilim update. Nephilim update.
Okay, before we go, I've got a couple of fun updates for our producers here, just keeping our producers updated on our global charts. Some notable ones, Gons, we hit rank number 74 in news commentary in the United States of America. That's a pretty good rank. Cool. And so thank you to the producers, and got to keep our producers updated. We did hit number 57 in Australia in news commentary. That's pretty good. One other notable one was we are number 31 in South Africa. So there we go. We are pretty popular in South Africa, apparently. So
Very
thank
cool.
you to all of our producers, in this case, Australia, South Africa, and the United States of America, keeping us popular around the world. Other than that, I had one last note, and I have completely forgotten what it was. Oh, I forgot to mention it earlier, and I am going to regret it. But please, if you haven't done it yet, hit the like button wherever you are watching or listening to this. If you're over on YouTube, smash the like button, as the kids say. Just helps the algorithms know to share the show with other people. And remember us, because we will be back on Friday, December 11th. Oh my gosh, December is flying by. I got to do some shopping. December, not for Christmas, not the pagan holiday Christmas, unrelated shopping of gifts for my friends and family. We'll be back December 11th, 2020, sometime probably around noon. What are we trying to do, an earlier show?
Yeah.
No, what did I say? Yeah, noon.
Yeah,
sometime
like
between noon and 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
I think we have an interview on Friday as well. We'll do one of those double episodes.
Yes, we are doing another double header on Friday. So if you are looking to become a producer, please consider, all of you out there, becoming a producer of Canary Cry Radio and Canary Cry News Talk. You can do that by heading to patreon.com/CCNT or canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
That's right. We'd appreciate it very much. We cannot continue doing the show as often and in the same way that we do it unless people continue to produce the show. So we appreciate that very much. It really is a team effort around here, and it's a great way to topple the golden calf that is the advertising industry around the world. So take control of the future of your own media and become a producer. And consider doing that. Thank you very much. Other than that, there's other ways you can become a producer of the show. You can create art if you are a visual artist, or you can create jingles or music, things like that. Make sure to stick around at the end of the show. We have the Canary Cry mixtape coming up at the end of the show. You want to hear some songs that producers have created just for us. You're going to want to listen to that. It's always a fun time. But if you create something, whether it be art or music or jingles, you can send that over to canarycryradio@gmail.com, and it'll make it on Friday's show. So thank you very much for that. Other than that, it's very important that you share the show. You got people in your life who are starting to wake up, friends who are starting to realize that the world is not what it seems. Go ahead and share an episode on your social media. Tag us. We will be very excited to see those tags. We're just, you can, my Twitter, you should follow me on Twitter. Oh, I was so very happy. I finally crossed the 500 follower border on Twitter. So thank you very much to our my Twitter followers and everybody else. You can follow me at Basil Rosewater, Basil_Rosewater. But share the show on your social media or wherever, or just send an episode to your friends or your family. We'll be happy to gently help them down the narrow path of truth as things just continue to get crazier and crazier. It's a good resource more than anything. Of course, I like it when you spread the show, but it's also a good resource for people to find information that their Facebook feed might not be showing them, or they might not be searching out themselves. And remember, you can go to canarycrynewstalk.com. We have all the links to all the articles. Make sure to save them, because having these articles at the ready is good ammunition for spreading the truth when it comes up. Okay. And if you need any more instructions, here's what you do. You walk right up to him, you grab him by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah, folks. And just a reminder, we'll be back Friday, December 11th, sometime between noon and 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Make sure to follow the podcast version. Just pick your favorite podcast player and search for Canary Cry News Talk. Subscribe to us there. After each live episode, we have a much crisper, higher quality audio version that goes up on the podcast feed. And it's just a great way to catch the show if you missed the live broadcast. So make sure to do that. All right, Gons, any last words?
I think that's it. Jesus is king.
There you go. Okay, everybody, thank you for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.
Demonic power!
It's gotta be biblical.
Are you ready to become cyber?
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo.
We should invite fewer people to be born.
That was nice.
Better, bigger, tastier.
Canaries in a cage.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
I want to shake things up, shake things up. I want to shake things up, shake things up. Leave the bird alone. I want to stir up some controversy. I want to rattle a few cages. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. A crusader for the little guy. Well, we'll see about that.
Whatever, Illuminati.
Fun fact, I believe it was another fun fact. Another fun fact.
Brings me back to my Screamo days.
Don't even get me started on bidets, man. Bidets, man. Bidets, man. I'm telling you, you were living the life, man. Bidets, man.
From the can. Do pot, that's where I started.
Light up a huge blunt.
A joint.
Give everybody
magic
mushrooms. Smoke. The CIA, I mean, lots of intelligence agencies have tested secretly dosing communities. LSD.
Psychoactive pills should be covertly administered.
Just put me on some, I don't know.
You get shot in the butt. Fluoride. Oxytocin. Get a chemical hug.
I did dabble, some of that robot crack. I know what it's like.
It's a lethal recipe for disaster. You need help.
If you're a pharmacist, you need to repent.
Friday.
See what's new, demonetization. Know what's this? To my surprise, I spot a big pair of googly eyes. Click on the video and turn up the sound. What is this gem that I have found? Canary, cry radio, canary, cry, news talk, canary, radio, canary, cry, news talk.
In the future, humans will be confined in a people's zoo.
I'll keep you safe and warm in my people's zoo. I'll keep you safe and warm now in my people's zoo. You and you in my people's zoo. I'll keep the cameras on.